So this presentation should be about 1 hour long. After completing this, you should know about the various methods for job searching, the benefits of using MinnesotaWorks.net, the importance of balancing internet job search with other methods, understanding networking and how to grow your network. LinkedIn is the professional network. When we talk about social media and job search, that is often what we're referring to. A good portion of this presentation is going to talk about LinkedIn. So when we talk about looking for a job using the internet to do a job search, you really want to think about quality over quantity. You don't just want to throw your resume out there, post it on every site, do everything you can, apply to every job that's out there. You want to be sure that your skills transfer to the specific job you're trying to get and that you're making the best effort you can on those jobs. For a lot of people, there will be very good results in Minnesota with MinnesotaWorks.net. Indeed is another one that's very popular, and LinkedIn has a rather amazing job list, job tool, job search function that you can use. When you're thinking about your job, don't just think about, well, I was a customer service representative and that's what I'm going to look for. You have to look for a broader search to come up with the many different things that use customer service skills, relationships, things that you do as a customer service agent. When we want to do a job search online, sometimes we can get distracted. Sometimes we can become overcome by the number of opportunities that are out there or the options that we face. Use an outline or a list to prioritize what's important to you based on the skills and how they match with you, your location, the job that's going to close sooner rather than one that's closing later. However, many jobs are looking at candidates as they come in, and so an early application gets more consideration than a later application. This isn't true for every opportunity out there, but it is true for many. Employers do like people that are excited to work for them. They want them, want people that are aware of them as a brand and interested in the mission of the company. Now, there are some things to be concerned about with the internet. There has been situations where people pretend to be a company that's hiring and they're collecting information about people to use in less than respectful ways. MinnesotaWorks.net is actually run by the state, and all of the employers on Minnesota Works are verified. So you can feel a little more comfortable with Minnesota Works. If you have concerns, take a look at the contact information, where are they located, take advantage of the opportunity to make a phone call, talk to someone, and establish them as a legitimate source. Pam, do we have any questions?
Yes, Sean, we have one. How do we know when a posting on LinkedIn or Indeed will close? Is there any way to see that?
Yes, it should be listed in the job posting. It's not necessarily going to show for every job out there. I can tell you on Minnesota Works, it does show up for every job. They will repost the same job repeatedly to keep up an application for those positions that require it. But it should be listed in the information on the actual job posting. You have another question?
Yeah, another one, and they might be getting a little bit ahead, but how do you know if something is legitimate? This person had a job that they applied to on LinkedIn, and they wanted them to buy a $700 training package in order to work there.
There's no way for every site, no matter how well run or how many resources that site has for verifying an employer, there's going to be concerns with when you're dealing with a number of people. For LinkedIn, that's unusual. I know that employers pay a lot of money to post the positions on there, and their brand is on there as well. Any job that requires you to pay them before you start working for them, I would not recommend. That's a giant red flag for everyone. That shouldn't be necessary.
Okay, you got time for one more?
Yes.
Okay, so someone sends out a resume and applies at a company. How long should they wait for a reply from that company before they call them or make an inquiry to them?
For that situation, I usually recommend following up with thank you and thank you letters, thank you email. So the same day usually is recommended for the email saying thank you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'd be happy to clarify anything you had any concern about. And then a couple days later, you drop a handwritten thank you letter in the mail. That creates another opportunity for them to be reminded that you are interested in the position, and hope that that reminder brings you back to the forefront of their memory, and hopefully as they're considering people for the position, that creates another opportunity. If the job posting was up and in the interview, you should take the opportunity to find out what the next steps are. Make sure that you're aware if they expect you to wait a week or 4 weeks, or if this process is a long process where they interview many people, and it's going to take even longer than that. However, even if it's going to take something like 3 or 4 weeks, I do recommend staying in contact. Maybe once a week, drop an email. If you don't get a response, contact someone, just so that you continue to show your interest in the position and keep reminding them that you're still waiting on an opportunity with them. Any others?
I think that's it for right now.
Okay, sounds good. So when we talk about MinnesotaWorks.net, we're talking about a job bank. We're talking about a website where employers sign up as an employer to post opportunities. This also gives them the opportunity to look at candidates on the site, the resumes that are available. One of the unique features of Minnesota Works is the aggregate sites, the ones that do what Google does for the rest of the internet, and they search and pull in all kinds of information into the database. The aggregate sites do not get that information from Minnesota Works. Those opportunities are limited to just MinnesotaWorks.net. I already mentioned that the employers using Minnesota Works are verified. It's important, especially if you've had an experience where it seemed fishy. It does help to use MinnesotaWorks.net. Don't forget, it's free for both job seekers and employers in this day and age. As a job seeker, you should never be paying someone or a website so that you can use it for search. There's too many free options out there between MinnesotaWorks.net, Indeed, and LinkedIn. I think you're going to have plenty of opportunities. Most jobs on Minnesota Works are current. There are systems in place to make sure that the opportunities available don't become stale or unmaintained. but there are always those changes in an organization where, especially with the pandemic, the changes may have happened and they no longer need that position, or it just has to be put off for a while. On Minnesota Works, you can have up to 5 resumes. Now, when we talk about 5 resumes, slightly beyond the scope of this presentation, but your resume talks about you. But when you're creating a resume, your goal should be, what is the ideal candidate for this position? How do I compare to the ideal candidate? You want your resume worded in a way, using the vocabulary, using the job titles. If you're submitting it to a company, you want to use that company name. And you want to create opportunities to shine as the ideal candidate. That could mean one of your 5 resumes is for one job title, another is for the same job but a different title at a different company. So you're casting a wider net. Alternatively, you could post jobs for a more senior position than you had before, or a less senior position than you had, depending on what you want or what you're looking for or what you think is available. Just a few statistics on Minnesota Works. From a 2010 survey, 66% of employers who posted jobs on minnesotaworks.net filled the position with an applicant from minnesotaworks.net. That is a pretty solid performance. 85% of the people searching for jobs found jobs to apply for, and 47% of those who applied for jobs were contacted for an interview. All right, we will move on. Actually, is there any questions specific to minnesotaworks.net?
Yes, Sean. One question is, since we have to tailor the resume to the job opportunity, how do we decide what to put on minnesotaworks.net resume?
You're going to want to take a look at the opportunities out there that match what you're looking for and pull in the information and decide what seems to be the common theme, what seems to be most important across all these companies for that position. You don't want to make it so specific to Target that you're overlooking what Walmart is looking for, or Best Buy, or any of the others that is doing the same job that you're looking to get. When you make that specific opportunity, you want to use specifically that company's needs and expectations, tasks, duties, bullet points. And these are things that your local career force can certainly help you with. You know, you put together a resume. I'll have another tool later in the presentation to help with that as well. But you could certainly have someone from your local career force take a look at your resume. All right. Anything else for Minnesota Works?
I had one question come in about does CareerForce recommend resume writing companies? I would say no. I think Sean would agree. Definitely, like he said, we can help you with that. So I would reach out to your local career force and get some help with your resume.
I don't want to sound too proud of myself, but I can tell you that I have worked with people that had a professionally paid for resume that were not getting the results they wanted. And after 2 sessions with me, they found the job they were looking for and were shocked at how the results had changed. Basically, if you're paying someone to make a resume, they don't know what you did, the relationships you had, all the details and complexities that come with it. You actually are the best person to make your resume. And it just takes a little fine tuning to really get that into the perspective for the employer to see what they want to see. So if you have free options like CareerForce, why would you pay someone to do it? All right, we will continue with the presentation. Talking about job board addiction. This means that you sit in your computer chair at home and you think that job search is all about searching every single job board out there, applying all the time and repeatedly doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a good opportunity. The reality is it comes down to relationships. Someone you know or someone that knows you thinks you're a good fit for an opportunity. You're going to see that networking. It's a cliche. It's been around for 30 or 40 years. People have always told you it's the most important thing for a job search. I can tell you that if you are going on job board after job board and you do it for a couple of days and you get a job really quickly, you are probably undervaluing yourself. And that is something a lot of people aren't considering. They aren't considering the missed opportunity they had to move into a better paying, more senior position, better. There's more to job search than just getting a job. You want something that'll last, something that will fulfill you and keep you and your family safe and happy. Balance your time. You want to do networking, and networking isn't just sitting at a computer and typing emails. It's not just going somewhere and talking to people. It is a combination of all the different aspects of communication and building relationships. You want to spend your time as efficiently as you can. Unemployment doesn't last forever. The pandemic hopefully doesn't last forever. We want to take advantage of the time we have and get results. One of the best things I can tell you is assess your current situation, whether you need to use an online tool and do an interest assessment or a skills assessment. Take the opportunity to make sure that you are focused on the goal and the goal hasn't moved on you since 20 years ago, the last time you looked for a job. All right. When we talk about networking, LinkedIn has taken this to the next level. They've made it really clear the way that they structure the social network that is LinkedIn. When we talk about who you know or who knows you, it's not necessary for you to know the person who has the perfect job for you. It's not about how many connections you have, because if you're connected with people all over the world and you're not interested in moving to Dubai for an opportunity, that opportunity has the same value as someone who had no opportunity for you. You want to take advantage of the relationships you've built, the ones that you've nurtured, the ones that you've spent time professionally interacting with, and looking at the person you know and the people that they know. And this illustration shows you that your cousin Mary is your first level contact. That's the person you know. Mary's friend Tom. Tom's former boss Pam. Pam's friend John. Pam's friend John needs to hire someone. You don't know John, but because of your cousin Mary, you have a connection to John. Let's see here. Oop. Sorry about that. So let's take a guess. All of you, this is an exercise. I want you to type in the chat box. How many people do you think you know on a first name basis? Oh my, I saw 2,000. I don't think I could recite 2,000 names if my life depended on it. All right, so number of people have answered. I'm seeing everything from about 25, 30 to 2,000. The average person knows 300 people on a first name basis. These are the people that can have the most impact on your job search. These are the people that you call on the phone. And for example, my name's Sean. If I call my friend Dave and I say, hey, Dave, this is Sean, he doesn't have to ask Sean who. He doesn't have to say, how do I know you? These are the people that know who you are and are interested in your success. You want to nurture those relationships, and assuming you're a typical good person, works hard, they should have no trouble recommending you to the people that they know, and that can continue to be very successful. All right, now, who's in your network? Friends, family, colleagues, coworkers, vendors, acquaintances, alumni, customers, joining professional organizations, job clubs, networking groups, civic groups, religious groups, anything that creates a relationship or a bond or a common connection is an opportunity for your network to be strengthened, to grow. The person who rang up your coffee could be a connection, and if that person's really smart, the person who rings up coffee meets 100, 200, 400 people a day, and if they're making those relationships count, that could be a very, very ripe opportunity for successful networking and growing your network and creating opportunities for you in the future. Now, if they've done that and you connect with them, then that hard work that they've done benefits you as well. I also like to recommend to people that they don't just look at people who are currently working. There is no reason why someone who's retired, someone who's enjoying retirement, who's getting out there and doing things, who's invested and is successful, and those are the things that you're looking for, they probably know people that are in that group that you're looking for, the successful, the forward-thinking, the ones that when they hire people, they tend to stay with them. Take advantage of those opportunities. All right, Pam, do we have any questions?
Oh, yes, we have a couple. Since a number of companies are working from home, would you suggest an email over a handwritten note when sending out a thank you card or anything like that?
I don't think that the concern would be them getting it. Business has to function, so they're still going to get their mail and they're going to be checking it. There might be concerns about, you know, the contact you've had with the paper and their contact with it, but most people are going to be fine with answering the mail in the current situation. If that situation changes, then just be aware of it. And if you're getting feedback where they don't want your handwritten note, then maybe take a break from it for the short term. But in its stead, I would suggest you send another email thanking them, just to remind them that you're still interested in the opportunity, that 48 hours after you had interviewed with them. Another question?
How would you find out who the hiring manager is for a company? What's the best way?
Well, the best way is going to be to talk to the person you have contact with. So in a perfect world, and I'll cover this in more depth when we actually get to the LinkedIn parts of it. In a perfect world, you know someone at that organization, they're in your network, they're connected to your Aunt Mary or your cousin Tom or whatever the situation is, and there's a way for you to communicate with them. The alternative to that would be the receptionist, the person you talk to when you try to make contact with the company. Some organizations are not going to give you that information. You will want to navigate those waters the best you can. If you get into an opportunity to go in for an interview, during the interview, you need to make time and effort to get the business card, to get the contact information of the people who interview you. And when I talk about the sending the thank you letter, thank you email, don't just send it to the hiring manager. Send it to everyone that you met, and that means the receptionist and the assistant and the three managers you had separate interviews with. All of them deserve a thank you and a reminder that you're interested in the opportunity. I used to work the front desk when I first started with CareerForce. That's where I started. There were a number of times where the manager came up and asked me how that particular candidate interacted with me or what I thought of them. That happens everywhere. You're going to want to treat the people that you meet, regardless of their position, the way that you'd want to be treated, and as if they had the power to make a hiring decision. We are at about the halfway point. I think I'm going to continue. If questions continue to come in, we can just group them. Hopefully they'll start leaning towards LinkedIn. I'm going to go to the next slide now. So when you're trying to make contact with employers, I already covered the hopefully having someone who works there that you know that is a connection from LinkedIn or from a past employer, some way that you know someone there. That's the ideal way to make contact with an employer. You have someone on the inside, someone who has a desire for you to be successful. The phone contact, it's going to start with usually a receptionist or an automated calling system. Do your best to navigate those things. Take a look at forums and other communication avenues, networking opportunities, any way you can to make contact with employers. Right now, we have a lot of opportunities in CareerForce to attend a webinar similar to this, where an employer is doing a presentation and then sets aside time to talk to the people that have joined them in the webinar. You can find contact information. Obviously, in those situations, you're going to be dealing with most likely a recruiter more so than a hiring manager, but in some situations, that could be the hiring manager that is doing the presentation as well. Informational interviews. I've only done 2 informational interviews in my career, but both of them were eye-opening. Informational interview, for those of you that don't know, it's not a short interview. It's not something like that. It's something where you as a job seeker interview someone who is working at the organization that you're interested in, or someone who's the hiring manager for the position you're looking for, or just someone who does something similar there. Some way for you to get some information about the company and what it's like to work there, what it's like to do the job. And it's an opportunity for you both to find out more information, find out the situation, and for you to decide if it's the right opportunity for you. In one case, I interviewed a hiring manager. It was an informational interview, and there was no way I could work for that person. So that informational interview saved me a lot of steps in the resume and interview process, where I did not need to go through that process because I knew that I would not be successful in that situation. Whenever you have an opportunity to talk to someone, do your best. I'm not saying be stubborn and childish. I'm saying do your best to not end the contact without your next contact. What I mean by that is, if you contact the receptionist at the front desk of 3M and you're talking to that person, don't end that contact until you have the next person you're supposed to talk to, or an email address, or a networking opportunity, or an informational interview. Every step requires tenacity and thoughtfulness. You need to take that effort and you need to focus it on a goal and get the results you're looking for. When we're talking about informational interviews, avoid asking to get hired. Avoid talking about, well, do you have any openings? Oh, I'm not interested in talking to you. That's not the way the informational interview should work. You want to take the time to learn more about the company, to understand the mission, to really feel like you understand the culture. And if it's a good fit for you and if it's something you want to do, and hopefully it builds the energy towards the goal of working with them. All right, next slide. Now, this is interesting. It's very important, and it's kind of unusual, but this is extremely good practice when we're talking about the current situation. Don't make contact with employers sitting on the couch in front of the TV with a bag of chips and no pants on. Don't do it with, the 3-day-old sweatshirt or stained. Dress like you want to be successful. You'll feel more confident. You will make better decisions. You will project that confidence and that situation much better if you are not only prepared, but dress well. When you make that contact, you have a goal. You make sure that you've prepared talking points. You make the effort to be successful, and above all, smile. Smiling, coming across with a smile, it does come through in the way we talk. I know most people don't believe that, but there has been many studies that prove that people can hear a smile. I know I don't smile that much. I'm sorry. All right, let's see. The talking points can be a bullet point list. Make sure you cover the topics you want to. It could be a script, whatever format works for you. Just don't come across fake or lose your personality or lose yourself in the preparation that you do. You want to make sure that you're authentic above most things in those situations. All right. So that ends that piece. Now we're going to move on to social media. So do we have any questions before we get started on social media?
Well, it's about social media. So do you want me to go ahead and ask a couple questions about LinkedIn? So can people view your profile or see that you viewed their profile? For example, if somebody wants to look at a hiring manager's profile, will they be able to see that?
Two things, all right? This is really important for you. Number one, it's the internet. The answer is always yes. Someone somewhere can figure that out, depending on the various levels of what you do on your side. It could take more effort or less, or just be obvious, whether or not someone can see if someone browsed the profile or not. Now, if you're talking about a hiring manager and whether or not you want to view their profile and be seen doing it, you always want to be seen doing it. That is very important. That shows your interest. That shows that you're trying to find out more information and make things matter. Don't hide. The whole point of being there is to be there and to be seen and to be part of the social media. Any other questions?
How about on Facebook? Do you suggest that people post on Facebook that they're looking for work?
I definitely think it's not bad to do it. I think it's more important that your Facebook is, especially if you're in job search, that all of your social media is cleaned up, and it's aiming in the same direction. So if you were doing something and you no longer want to do that, let's say you were customer service rep for 20 years and you've had enough of that, that's not part of your life anymore, you have no desire to do it anymore, you're burned out on it, you don't want your communication, your pictures, your your social media presence to suggest that's what you do, that's who you are, that's a big part of your life. At the same time, you don't want any questionable activities on any form of social media. So you don't want, the drinking, shooting guns, doing protests, doing things that make employers take notice and wonder if that was a good choice. If you wouldn't do it at work, don't do it on social media when you're looking for work. I know that's unfortunate for a lot of you, but it's the truth. We all are human, and we're making decisions based on the information we have. And if someone is appearing to be borderline, and someone else is appearing to be perfectly fitting into the culture of the company, they're going to choose the person that fits the culture much more often than people that are out there on the spectrum. All right. Let's see. I think we have time for one more if you have another question.
Yeah, if I have a free LinkedIn account, how do I send a message to someone who has a paid private LinkedIn account?
Two things. Number one, if you're connected, you can message people without having to pay for it. There's a limited number of communications you get for the free account, but being connected is the best way to communicate with someone online. When we talk about connections, I'm going to save the rest of that for just a little bit when I get to that in a couple slides. Right? I think we'll move on since that question kind of segued perfectly. So let's not forget that if you're looking to hire someone and pay them over the course of their career hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, you're going to do some investigation. You're going to want your employees to meet certain expectations. They're going to look at your online persona. Overall, just make sure it looks pretty good, and it should be fine. Everyone knows what's appropriate for work and what's not. Oh, I should also mention Google search. Google yourself. Make sure that what you see makes sense. Make sure that it's you. I can tell you, if you search for Sean Morgan, you'll actually find the lead singer of Seether, which is a heavy metal band or a rock band. Obviously, I'm not that person. I don't have a lot of tattoos. I'm not doing that for a career. So you might want to be prepared to clarify for someone if the Google search reveals things that are questionable. One of the best ways to do that is on LinkedIn. You can create a direct link to your LinkedIn profile. I'll get to that in just a second. There's a lot of help on LinkedIn. You can search for things. There's YouTube videos. There's all kinds of things. It's a very popular social media site. It's been around for a while. It has a lot of tools, some of which we will go into detail here. We are going to talk about the resume builder and the mock interview assistant on LinkedIn. It's two tools that are part of the job feature on LinkedIn. All right, so making connections. I briefly spoke about connections, how you want to be connected to people to communicate with them, to message them for free. Making connections is as simple as searching for a person or a company. So take a look at the people that you've worked with, search for them, that search bar, right here at the top, it's always going to search for all of LinkedIn. Now, at this time, let's take a 1 minute stretch. You guys should stand up and stretch. Make sure you're comfortable. Make sure your feet aren't falling asleep. And if you've learned something so far in the presentation, why don't you type a 1 sentence or a phrase about what you've gotten out of this presentation so far? I saw one person say that they lost their sound. All right, let's continue. So I am talking now. The making a connection, simply do a search. Type it in the search bar. It's going to pull up the person or employer, company, group, educator, school. And then from here, you can select follow or connect. It is that easy. Simply search. Now, when we've targeted our job search, we can take a look at companies. We can actually go to the company website and see people who work for that company and see how we're connected to them. Just to clarify, on this screen, you can see where my mouse is. Pam, can you confirm that you can see my mouse? Oh.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. That second means that they're a second tier connection to me. There's first, second, third plus. I usually see third plus, not just third. But it shows the various connections. So if it's a first tier connection, that means they're directly connected to me. If it's a second tier connection, it means I know one person who knows them. If they're a third tier or so, that means that there is multiple people between us. So my first tier connection, that person's first tier connection, and then the person or company that I'm looking at. For people, LinkedIn is going to make an effort to show you people that are related to the places that you've worked, the places you went to school, the people you already know. You can go to the networking, My Network page and see a list of recommended connections. Take advantage of that. The list, when I first started on LinkedIn, or when I restarted on LinkedIn, because it had been a while, I was actually able to empty that list. As you add more and more information and connect to more and more people, it becomes an endless progression. Don't think that you're going to sit down and finish the list is what I'm trying to say. Once you've signed into LinkedIn, you can go to me. It's blocked out here, but me and then profile to edit your profile. I think my next presentation will have more details on that. But for now, building your network, making connections, looking at companies, seeing who's working at that organization, who has worked there, and connecting with those people that you know. Now, there are two schools of thought when we talk about making connections. If you are in group A, the one that I want you to be in, you're going to think that, okay, I want to connect with people I know, people who They don't necessarily have to know me by my first name, but they know how they know me. They know that we work together, or they were a vendor, or I was a customer, or whatever the situation is. They know me in some way. Those are the people I want to connect with. The alternative one that the state does not usually recommend is going to be the numbers game, where you say, okay, I'm going to connect to everyone, every time, no matter who they are. The reason we don't recommend that is because if you're connected to the maximum number of people, which is 5,000, yes, that's a lot of people, and they don't know who you are or why they should care about what you're posting or what you're doing, or that you're out of work, or if they're on the other side of the world, how is that going to help you in your professional development, in your career, in creating opportunities to have a new job, to move into a better company or a better position? Stick to the people and relationships that are real. Real does not mean face-to-face. Real means that you communicate directly with them. That could be only email or only phone. It could be a really long time since you've seen them. But build those connections based on that, and you'll see more success. You could see more success with 15 connections than someone with 500 from the other group. I don't think I have any options for my audio. I hope you can hear me. Pam, if you just want to type that they should be using the call up, have WebEx call them option if they're having audio trouble, that might help. All right, so sign into your LinkedIn account, click on the jobs menu. This is the interview prep feature. Why don't we take questions before we go too far into this? Pam, do you have any?
Yep. How far back or how many months do you suggest that they go back to clean up their social media?
That's a very good question. Depends on how active you are. I mean, if it's an overwhelming task, and when I say clean up your social media, it doesn't mean you have to take everything out of your media that's questionable. But if it's something that would be inappropriate for work, you'd want to clean it up. I wouldn't like scrub everything out. I would focus on the things that were grievous errors in judgment, or things that you know really shouldn't be posted. You know, a picture that was inappropriate, or a story or a joke that was inappropriate. I'd probably go back like 6 months if I was just doing mine. However, I'm not very active outside of LinkedIn. I have a Facebook account I use like twice a year for, you know, those birthdays and other things that come up for people. But yeah, we're going to continue with the presentation. I will try to cover as many as I can. This does end at 11, so we have a few more slides. The interview prep feature. This is a feature, it's relatively new to LinkedIn. If you follow these arrows, don't forget, you're going to get these slides. You're going to see these screenshots. They're going to be in your email tomorrow morning, or by tomorrow morning. So if you're not getting this completely, or if I go too fast, you do have that option. So you click on more and you're going to see interview prep and resume builder. We'll talk about both. Interview prep, the 26 most common questions. The scariest part about interviewing, especially for those of us who haven't interviewed in 5 years, 10 years, 3 decades, whatever it is we don't know what they're going to ask. We don't know what questions we're going to be facing. And the better prepared we are, the more questions we've seen and thought about prior to the interview, prior to hearing it, the more successful we're going to be in the interview. This tool actually gives you the 26 most common questions. It allows you to answer them, and it uses AI to tell you some ideas about what you wrote and some suggestions on how to make a good answer. I believe you can also offer to record a video and send it to someone. So if you had a trusted person, maybe a former boss or HR person or someone at CareerForce that you wanted to see this, you could do that. Now, at the same time as I'm showing you this, the 26 questions are outstanding as a great tool. But if you take advantage of the mock interview practice with CareerForce, I think you might get a little more out of it, where we're asking you questions and helping you to understand your answers and how they could be better, and some of your mannerisms and things that could improve. Let's go here. So you can record, write a response, you can send it to someone privately. Once you review feedback, the information is out there. This is a tool you have control over who sees it. I haven't used it myself, so I can't speak too much on it, but it is a powerful tool, and it's good to see LinkedIn doing something about the difference between what employers expect and what job seekers are able to give them. All right, so we have 5 minutes left. We are going to spend this time on questions. So Pam, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question about the LinkedIn free account. Actually, I think there's a couple, so hopefully you can answer them both in one. If in free LinkedIn account, what do I do if I'm out of the free options to connect with others? Is there any way to get more free options to connect with others on LinkedIn without paying for it? And if they need to pay for it, how much does it cost?
Okay, I don't know exactly what you're referring to when you say connections. I am aware of having a limited number of messages you can send, so I'm going to assume that's what you're talking about. So there's an option you have two options basically. Number one, I believe it's a 30-day or monthly stipend of free messages. So once a period of time has passed, you'll get more free messages to send. If you want to buy just messages, they sell them on a package basis. I think it's 3 or 5 messages at a time you can pay for. The alternative to that would be to sign up for LinkedIn Premium, and then you'd be able to message people. Again, it has a limited number, but you do get a rolling free amount every month, and it increases the usability of those messages. If someone responds to your message, you get that credit back. So if you're messaging people on a regular basis, you could easily communicate with everyone you want to communicate with, as long as the communication was going 2 ways. Again, you want to make connections with people and then message them. When you're reaching out to people for a connection request, don't ask them for something. Don't use it like a message. Don't tell them how you're unemployed and you're looking for an opportunity. Remind them how you know them. Remind them how what relationship or how you worked with them and why they should connect with you. And then once you're connected, that's when you take the opportunity to communicate your situation and what you can do for them. Always try to phrase it in a way that is you doing for them the job, task, duties that you were doing before related to your job title, not, hey, I need a job, what do you got for me? Understand the difference and focus on that. Do you have another question?
Yeah, what about politics on Facebook? Should they be deleted? Or what if they've liked a posting that are appropriate, but they're political in nature? Should they remove the likes now that they're looking to find work?
I think we might be crossing the line into nitpicking. If you liked an image that you thought was funny 6 months ago and that's the reason you didn't get the job, that seems a little too hard. Maybe you really didn't want to work there in the first place. Political stuff, I would be more concerned about your words and the words of what you were liking or sharing. So if you share something, not just click a little thumbs up or like it, that's more important to be cleaned up than your likes or the things you were interacting with other people's content. All right. So if you took someone's content and shared it and it was inappropriate, that's something you'd want to remove. Got time for one or two more.
Okay. How does somebody connect with a company that they want to work at, but they don't know anyone at the company?
There's two possibilities, maybe three. The first one is you take advantage of networking opportunities like CareerForce with their webinars on employers that are hiring. You take advantage of groups on LinkedIn. You take advantage of industry organizations. And you just keep plugging away at your network. As you grow your network, the odds are you're going to find someone at that company. You continue to apply. So if there's an opportunity you're interested in, don't let your lack of a connection eliminate that as an opportunity. Still pursue those opportunities, but continue, if you don't get the opportunity, you don't have an interview this time around, continue to work on your network and grow your toolkit for job search. And the next time it comes around, hopefully you'll have someone in your corner at that company. Anything else?
No. Well, I guess I have one person asking if you have a LinkedIn profile. Is that something you want to share or not?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm Shaun, SHAUN Morgan, MORGAN. I work for CareerForce. My headline is going to include things like project manager and several things like that. You should see someone that looks similar to me, probably a little more hair than I have right now. But other than that, feel free to reach out to me if you'd like. I do encourage you to get the local help, though. They may not have a LinkedIn expert, but they certainly have resume and interview assistance for sure. So thank you all for coming today. I hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget, we will be sending out the packet of information. You'll get all the slides, and we hope to see you again in future CareerForce webinars. Thank you.